Everybody put your hands together like this. Come on. Yeah. Yeah. Break it down. Shine on me, shine on me, the light from the lighthouse, shine on me, shine, yeah, on me. The light from the lighthouse, from the lighthouse, the light from the lighthouse. Everybody say there is a light that shines.
What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, go ahead and jump in and put in your city and state where you're tuned in from. And if you are tuned in from outside of America, let me know the country. Let's do that really quickly. It's so good to be here tonight. And thank you for giving me a second to catch my breath. I'm literally just walking in the house and jumped in the shower real quick and ran down to my desk. So let me know where you're tuning in from. Good. Columbia, Terrell, Texas. Thank you. IG, where are you? There you are. Nola, hey, what's going on? Dallas, Missouri, Indiana. Thank you. Detroit, Fort Myers, Florida, Jacksonville, Washington, D.C. Good. Good to see you. Madison, New York, Indianapolis, Freeport, Greenville twice. Douglasville, Georgia, Atlanta. Are you all supporting the show? The tour starts next Saturday. Yeah, definitely praying for all the federal employees that's in the middle of that stuff. Winston-Salem, Tampa, Washington, New Jersey, Winston again, Atlanta. Doing good, O'Neill. Good to see you, brother. Hope you'll be out next Saturday at the tour. Michigan, Stockbridge, Kissimmee, West Virginia, Scottsdale. Have you gotten your tickets to Self-Awareness Tour? Phoenix in March. Scottsdale, would love to see you. Those of you in Scottsdale, Arizona, Barbara, Arizona, absolutely same thing. Get your tickets. I'll be there in March. Jamaica, Maryland, Memphis, Tennessee, Kansas. Good. We got some people from a little bit of everywhere. Once you type in your city and state or country, go ahead and hit that like button, that share button, and let other people know that we are on live and on the air. I would greatly appreciate that. And we're going to get ready to get into this goodness. This is going to be fun tonight. I've got a really good conversation for you, I believe, that's going to be helpful. And so I'm excited. Excited, got my ticket. It's burning my pocket. Good. I like that. Glad it's burning it. And I hope that's in a good way. Like the video, share the video. I need to cut on my backlights really quickly. Like I said, I'm literally just running in the house. This week has been a blur. And so I just need a couple of seconds to just get my energy level where it needs to be because I'm tired. But tonight's going to be an incredible show. And I'm excited to be with you and thankful that you all have tuned in. Go ahead and start liking the video, sharing the video really quickly. Let me just paste something I need to do. That I need to do. And we're going to get ready to get right into it. This is going to be great and just so excited to have you with me. Really quickly, let me thank all of my subscribers. Those of you that are on IG, subscribe, Patreon. Special shout out to all of you. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your support. So I'm honored to have your support and really looking forward to sharing with you. I'm starting a new series this Monday. I'll announce that this weekend. Who is that? Stephanie Denise. Oh, yes. Looking forward to announcing that new series this weekend that I'm going to be starting for subscribers on Instagram and Patreon. So that information will be coming out soon. So definitely check out my stories so that you can see what's going on there. And really want to just shout out all of you subscribers for your extra support. If you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you do that because I'm getting ready to start doing those long form videos. Okay, I couldn't see your picture, your face. Okay, yeah, I saw Zeb. Like I didn't know Zeb is real personal. I didn't know who that was. Okay, hey, how you doing? I getting ready to start doing my long form videos on YouTube really soon. And when I say long forms, they're going to be even longer than my Tuesday, Thursday videos. Many of you have submitted stories or questions that you want me to answer, and I've compiled them, and I've got about 80 or 90 of them. So I've got content that's going to last me for a while. And I'm going to start doing long talks about these on YouTube and really breaking these down. And so I hope you'll be checking that out. That'll probably be dropping maybe as soon as maybe next week. And so I want to shout out Coach Sean. Really thankful for all the work that he does to help me in that space. All right. I want you to, forgot to cut on my backlights. It's too much going on. Hold on one second, y'all. Just give me a second, please. I feel like I'm a fish out of water. But once I relax, I'm going to start swinging in just a second. Okay. Do me a favor. If you have not liked the video, share the video, do that. And go ahead and let's get the ways to support on the screen. Tonight might be one of those shows that we don't keep up, and I'll tell you why. Probably early next week, my first quarter course or a second quarter course will launch. If you've been following my work, you know I typically do a course per quarter. We did one in January. We're already about to be in February. It's crazy. And so this course will be during the month of April, every Saturday in April. And that will probably launch this weekend, if not early next week. And so if you took the beginning of the year course, you should have a promo code that you can use. Make sure you find that. We had a very full packed 3 nights for the beginning of the year. So find your promo code so that you can take advantage of that course coming up in April. But I've got some incredible topics. It's by far the best deck that I've ever created. And I'm going to probably give my subscribers a taste of that in the month of February. So a lot of things going on, and I hope you all will support. Let's get the ways to support up on the screen. I want to shout out, now that I'm saying that, I want to shout out all of my moderators that do a great job of making sure that they help to monitor the chat and do the things that we do. Also, keep in mind, if we get any scragglers in the comment area, you might start to see a few eagles fly across the screen. Don't be alarmed. Those eagles simply mean that we fly high above birds. So don't stoop down to it. Just put a bunch of eagles or put an eagle in the comments, and you'll see other people follow suit, and then it'll get the attention of my moderators, and they shoot birds out the air, literally, and we'll take care of them that way. So I want to shout out all of you, April, Caitlin, Tiff, all of you that do such a great job in moderating. Thank you so much. The ways to support the show are on the screen. The ways to support the show are on the screen. And tonight, I'm excited about tonight's topic. I want you to go ahead and put tonight's topic in the comments. You might also see salad icons on the screen. Your support typically just buys me lunch. It does. And I try to eat healthy Monday through Friday, half day Saturday, and I cheat a half day Saturday and all day Sunday to keep it in the road. And so I really would greatly appreciate your support, not because I need it, but because y'all got to stop trying to get stuff for free. And you have to invest in your own rescue. And I mean it. And I don't really care who doesn't like that. All right. So I really appreciate your support in advance. Put the topic in the chat real quick. This is a long topic. I want you to type the topic in the chat: from capacity to resentment to forgiveness. Put it in the chat. Grab your journal. Let's get ready to work. Okay. From, hey, V-Star, Texas, I appreciate you. From capacity to resentment to forgiveness. Let's talk about it. I did a video earlier this week, and it was actually a horrible take, in my opinion. But I'm just at a place now when I record these stories, I have a couple of notes from the stories that I'm allowed to share or given permission to share. And I just press record and I talk until about the 12 or 13 minute mark, and I cut it off, I edit it, and I upload it. It's really raw. And Tuesday was really raw, and I didn't think it was one of my best recordings, but it really struck a nerve because it dealt with this topic of resentment. And I want to talk about resentment tonight. And my goal, honestly, is multifold. Number one, my goal is to challenge you with the truth. So you're going to hear some honest things tonight that might stretch you in ways that you may have not been stretched before. All right. But number two, my job is to move you ultimately beyond resentment, because this is an entitled generation. And many of you would live in these entitled spaces you live in, these coddled spaces you live in, if nobody came behind you, put their hand on your back, and pushed you and forced you to move forward. So if you've never tuned into me before, this is going to be hard, because most of you have never heard a person in the counseling, therapy, coaching space be as blunt as I am. I had to tell a gentleman this week who became a new client this week, and I had to let him know. You could tell when I came out the gates, I let him talk. When I came out the gates, I came out swinging, and he looked startled like he'd seen a ghost. I had to remind him, I ain't on nobody's side. I'm on the Lord's side. Oh my God. I ain't on nobody's side. If you're a man and you're wrong, I'm going to tell you. If you're a woman and you want wrong, I'm going to tell you. If you're an alphabet and you're wrong, I'm going to tell you. And that's the problem in this space. A lot of people aren't being healed, and a lot of people aren't healing mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially, because you guys are allergic to the truth. You're allergic. I don't play favorites. And I got that honest. I was raised that way. That's the way my mother and father handled us. Got it very honest. Right? So I don't play favorites in this space. And tonight I'm not going to play favorites because the reality is many of you, if I'm being honest with you, are stuck in resentment, not because you have to be, but because you chose to be.
Oh my God.
That's fact. Many of you could have long moved beyond this place of resentment if you really made the choice to do it. And so I'm going to help some of you tonight. So for those of you that want to be free from resentment, grow beyond it, heal beyond it, get your journal, get some scrap paper. You know, I've got a diagram we're going to work through, and we're going to do this together, okay? Before we get into this, let me give you a quick recap on capacity. Let's talk quickly about capacity. I want you to record this. Record this now. You'll be the smartest person at the water cooler tomorrow. Record this. Put this definition in the chat. This is my definition of capacity. Capacity is the measurement of what a person is holding and can handle. When we talk about capacity, we are talking about a measurement of what a person is holding or can handle. That's capacity. Capacity is the measurement of what a person is holding and can handle. This is the easy way to understand this. We can't even get into resentment until we start talking about capacity. Why does this matter? Because capacity, when we examine and we are honest about our capacity and the capacity of people that have offended us, we learn how to treat people on the level that they are. And some of you got resentment against people who don't know any better.
Oh my God.
And when you have resentment against people who don't know any better, at a certain point, it ceases from being a them problem and it becomes a you problem. Now, for all of you people that need to be heard, that want to be seen, that feel like you're not being seen, that feel like you're not being heard, this is going to be hard in the beginning. I'm going to hear you later. But let's grow up a little bit. Some of the people that you're holding on to this resentment against don't even have the capacity to realize that they've offended you. And I know many of you don't believe that. But some of you have been offended by people that are so self-clueless that they don't even realize they've offended you. And here you are, 3 years later, holding on to anger, holding on to unprocessed, unreleased anger against people who don't even realize, who don't even have the capacity nor the self-awareness to realize how bad of a shape their own life really is. We got to stop that. So that's for the first layer of resentment. You're going to have to, first of all, when it comes to beating resentment, you've got to first measure and evaluate the person who has offended you and measure their capacity. Before you go further, we can't go no further until we do that. What is the capacity of the person who has offended me? How do we measure capacity? Glad you asked. We measure capacity with self-awareness. You all should know this definition. Put it in your journal. Doc, we write it down every week. Good. Keep writing it. Self-awareness is honesty about who you are, where you are, and what you're doing. Self-awareness is honesty about who you are, where you are, and what you're doing. We measure what a person is holding or can handle by evaluating how honest they are about who they are, where they are,
and what they're doing. So if a person can't be honest with themselves about who they are, where they are, and what they are doing, how crazy do you look to be holding resentment against them? Oh my God. And I hate to put this as blunt as I do, but it's called the self-awareness tour for a reason. I'm a truth teller. When you hold resentment against a person who's not even honest about who they are, where they are, and what they're doing, they're no longer the crazy one. Guess who the crazy one is? They're no longer dysfunctional. Guess who the dysfunctional person is? That's for all of you that's holding resentment against your daddy who wasn't in your life, but he didn't even have the capacity and self-awareness to realize what he should have been doing as a father. Doc, are you making excuses for him? Absolutely not. I just gave you a whole introduction on the fact that I don't play favorites, and I don't. But I'm also aware of the fact that people will get on a whole elevator and it be packed full of people and stand there and talk loud on their cell phone without the awareness that maybe, just maybe, it's rude to be loud on a packed elevator. So here you are, still resentful over a man, a woman, a cousin, an ex, a brother, a sister, a coworker who don't even have the honesty or the self-awareness to realize they're in the wrong. And I tried to use the baby example in that story with that couple to make this make sense. Or with that lady, rather, to make this make sense. That if you, as a grown adult, would not chastise and scold a 1-year-old for throwing a cup in the floor and spilling the milk and laughing when they do it because they don't know any better, then why would you walk around with resentment against people who have no self-awareness and clue as to what it is that they're doing? I even read comments, which is why I one of the things that I made a commitment to do in 2025. Let me just say this real loud. I want to say this quickly. Thank y'all for all of your comments on my videos. Okay. Let me get this out of the way. Thank y'all for all of your comments on my videos. I read them as much as I get a chance. This week was one of those weeks where it's just been a blur. I didn't get a chance to read much. Every now and then when I'm posting a video and I'm waiting for it to go up, I'll just go to an old video and just scroll through. Okay. Every now and then I might pin a positive comment. I do see your comments to my videos and I appreciate them and they mean a lot to me. Okay. So let me just say that and preface what I'm getting ready to say with that. Okay. So I appreciate your support and thank you for sharing the videos and liking them. And many of you share them and when you share them to your stories, tag me. If I see it, I'll repost it. I'll tag you. That means a lot to me, okay? And I try to manage that as much as I can with having nearly 600,000 followers on 4 platforms. It's a lot. But let me tell y'all something. I made a commitment in 2025 not to go back and forth with people who don't have no self-awareness. And this becomes a matter of my favorite word. Put it in the comments in all capital letters. Levels. Y'all, listen to me. If you're not going to go back and forth with a 1-year-old who doesn't have the capacity to realize or the self-awareness to realize that he or she, when they drop a bottle on the floor and milk goes everywhere and they start laughing, you ain't going to scream at a 1-year-old because they don't know any better. In fact, you're not going to even engage into that. You may tell the 1-year-old, no, don't do that. Stop. Try to explain it. But what you're not going to do is have a whole attitude, not talk to your 1-year-old for 5 hours. Why? Because they don't have the capacity. And I take the same approach even in social media. And some of y'all should too. You ready? This is going to offend some of you entitled, I need to be seen and heard people. You ready? In 2025, one of the best ways to respond to people with low capacity. You ready? Ignore them. Put that in the chat. All capital letters. Ignore them. They have the capacity of a 1-year-old. And here you are going back and forth with people who not on your level. And when you do that, it's like you arguing with a 1-year-old that can't even speak a language. And at a certain point, you're the crazy one arguing with a 1-year-old. Are y'all catching this? Ignore them. I had to get together in my comments. Not my comments, in my DMs. I think it was on Facebook. Send me this long paragraph. Hey, Doc, I enjoy your content. What was the word she used? She said, I enjoy your comment. I enjoy your content, but I feel really disrespected because you never respond to any of my comments to your videos. I really enjoy your content, but I really feel disrespected. She used the word disrespected. Listen to me. A grown woman used the word disrespected to describe how I didn't have time to respond to one out of probably 6,000 to 7,000 comments I get a week. I'm not making this up. The unhealed me would have responded, went crazy, went off, put her in her place, blah, 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 blah. The healed me realizes I'm not about to stand in the middle of the floor with a 1-year-old and go back and forth over the milk that they just spilled. Sweetheart, I looked at the message and hearted it and kept on going.
Oh my God.
Y'all stop responding to people that ain't on your level. I know y'all don't like this. All of these equal opportunity people about to jump in here and say, we're all the same. Lies. We're not. We're not the same. We don't do the same work. We don't get the same reward. I had 3 new clients tell me this week, their first session with me. Doc, I learned more in 60 minutes than I've learned in years in therapy. You really do the work. I know. So when y'all hear me popping it on this live and running my mouth, I ain't just running my mouth. Some of us really about this life. There's levels to this work. And because there is, and I know as well as many of you do, that you're not doing the amount of work, same amount of work as the people you criticize, hey, those of you that you're criticizing, they need to stop responding to you. I just don't respond to everybody. And I'm not being stuck up funny. I just don't cast my pearls among swine. I'm going to talk about that in a little while. Meaning, I'm not going to waste my wisdom and give a deep revelation to a 1-year-old who only understands goo goo gaga. Not going to do it. And sometimes people will reveal their low capacity so bad that instead of speaking a native language or tongue to them, you just need to start doing that. Here, sweetie. Because that's what they understand. So a lot of this resentment, I'm lifting to you, a lot of this resentment is self-induced. That when you don't understand capacity, you ready? Here's another thing y'all don't understand. I've taught on this already. When you don't understand capacity and you don't understand boundaries, you're going to be all over the place. Why? Not because you got to be, but because you have not mastered the art of handling people where they are and drawing a fine line between you and them. We not all the same. I want you to put that in, especially if you are honestly in 2025 doing the work. I want you to put in the chat in all capital letters. I don't care if the English is off. I got a real PhD. Put it in the chat. We not the same. Some of y'all need to put that on a billboard at your office your office desk at work. You need to put it on your refrigerator. We not the same. That's going to solve 60% of your problems because it's going to stop you from responding to people who don't even have the capacity to understand you. And I took this a step further. I've got a story that I'm going to be sharing about a young man that last week was a great conversation. He gave me permission. But this story is powerful because I even had to connect this to his healing journey. He came to me. He said, Doc, I want to go on the dating scene. Nice looking fellow. You know, he's got some things going for him. He's like in his like mid-30s. And he said, but Doc, I'm being honest with you. He said, I got a lot of resentment. I said, why? You got a great job. You're a decent looking fellow. What's the problem? Rejection. I said, rejection has created resentment in you? He said, yeah. I said, how? He said, because I don't understand how I can, he makes about 80, 90 a year. Ain't bad. Makes about 80, 90 a year. In his mid-30s, nice looking guy, really mannerable, respectful guy. He said, I got all of this, resentment because of rejection. I said, why did rejection create resentment? He said, because I got all this stuff to offer. I said, dude, were you rejected by a 30-year-old or a 1-year-old? He looked at me crazy and said, Doc, you calling me a pedophile? I said, no. We start laughing. So of course I'm not calling you that. I said, but I want you to listen to the question that I gave you. I said, were you rejected by a 30-year-old or a 1-year-old? He said, Doc, she was 30. I said, what's the point I'm making? He said, I'm not sure, Doc. I said, she may have been 30 in age. But sometimes you got to measure rejection by people's capacity. There's some people that reject you, not because you're the problem, but because you too much to handle. Many of you don't even realize, and I'm talking to you single people now, many of you don't even realize that because you're doing this work, when you show up in people's lives or you even express interest, your life becomes a mirror to who they are. So when people see you, they see themselves. Because the light reveals or it exposes. Oh my God. Doc, you talking over my head. Make it real plain. Some people rejected you because your presence revealed all of their flaws. Your presence revealed and exposed all of their issues and challenges. And you walked around and allowed rejection to turn into resentment instead of evaluating the fact that you were rejected by a 1-year-old. This is a lot, ain't it? I'm just getting warmed up. Now I'm waking up. It took me about 30 minutes. I'm there now. So I had to explain to this young man. I said, dude, you're going to be fine. Rejection only counts when it comes from people who have the capacity to recognize what they rejected. If you give a 1-year-old a pair of keys to a Maserati, they're going to play with it for a second because they've never seen them. Then they're going to throw them Maserati keys in the trash can and go find some blocks and go play with that. I said, are you going to diminish the value of the Maserati because they threw the keys away? I'm telling you. And it reminded me, some of you reached out and said, Doc, are you going to do this dating thing? Because I really want to do a dating show. I think I want to do it. I finally come around to the idea. It took me a minute because I don't want none of y'all to blame me if you end up getting matched up with somebody that don't work. Then be like, Doc hooked me up with this serial killer. Doc didn't do it. You got to, no, we going to sign some waivers. No, absolutely not. But let me tell you something. I like the idea of doing a date show and connecting healed people. You know why? Because when you connect people that are healed together or people that are trying to be healed together, it should be a different flavor. I see you, Nikki. Tell us this is what happens when he's tired. Yeah, yeah. I'm about to go in and we just getting started. And guess what, y'all? When people don't have self-awareness, guess what else they don't have? I want you to put this A word in the comment. Accountability. Would you be offended if I told you that many of the people you're holding resentment against are the same people that have no clue of what accountability and ownership is? How can you be offended by a person who don't take accountability? I mean, can somebody make sense how you get offended by someone who does not take accountability? Anybody explain that to me? I just don't get it. If people don't want to take accountability, you would be crazy to be offended by that. And yet here we are, measuring our value, measuring our worth, measuring what we bring to the table, measuring how we stack up against others, against people who have the slightest clue of what accountability and responsibility is. Most of this resentment, y'all, if I'm being honest, you are holding this resentment against people who don't even have the self-awareness, the ownership, or the accountability to get to a place of acknowledging where they are and what they're doing wrong. Thank you, Naomi, for your support. I appreciate you. Y'all supporting the show? Y'all supporting the show? Because I'm about to get to the good stuff. And if you don't, I'm taking it down. Most of you are operating in offense and resentment against people who don't even have the self-awareness to realize that they really the problem. So once you get beyond that, this feels different. Let's talk a little bit about resentment. This helping anybody? Let's talk a little bit about resentment. And give you my definition of resentment. Yeah, I agree with that. I see Jada on YouTube has a really good comment. When I find someone who has accountability, I'm in shock. It's like a four-leaf clover. It is. It's a whole lot you can put on that list. Accountability, responsibility, apologizing. Some of y'all don't even know how to apologize. Sorry ain't an apology. Saying, I'm sorry, but I wouldn't have if you would not have is not an apology. And yet many of you have resentment against people who don't know how to apologize. How? Why? They don't have the capacity. Thank you. They don't have the capacity. Let's talk about resentment. We know what resentment is. I don't have a custom definition for resentment. There's no need. It's a very simple term to understand. But let me give it to you. Resentment is nothing more than unprocessed, unreleased anger. Record that. Put it in the chat. Put it in your notes. Hurry. Resentment is unprocessed, unreleased anger. It is anger that you have not processed. It is anger that you have not released. That's resentment. That's all it is. It's anger that's stuck inside of you in one of two forms. Either you haven't released it or you haven't processed it. Many of you understand that, but what many of you don't understand is that anytime you have unprocessed, unreleased anger trapped inside of you, it causes two big things. Number one, it causes you to lose power. At the core of resentment is lost power, which means anytime you live your life with trapped anger, unprocessed anger living inside of you, you have given power to something outside of you. Okay? You have given power to something outside of you. You cannot live with unprocessed, unreleased anger inside of you without losing power. Which is why every person that you feel resentment against is literally controlling you. Oh my God. No wonder you can't focus. You're under the control of somebody else's behavior. Oh my God. No wonder you can't control your attitude. You're under the control of somebody else's behavior. Oh my God. No wonder you can't control your temper when it comes to them, because you're under the control of somebody else's behavior. Oh my God. And you know what makes this worse? What makes this worse is when this control is given to a person that don't even have the awareness to realize that they're doing to you what they're doing to you. I know it sounds like a tongue twister. This is nasty work when it is under the control of somebody who don't even realize that they're doing to you what they're doing to you. In other words, they don't even have the self-awareness. They lack self-awareness and still got control over you. How are you going to be under the control of a person who don't even have self-awareness? Anybody? Oh my God. Hey, Instagram, why y'all not sharing the video? They be getting mad on Instagram. Facebook is hit or miss. Depends on which video goes viral. But Instagram, the folks on Instagram be getting real, a little testy, a little zesty over there on Instagram. I'm just trying to figure out how y'all lose power to people. How you lose power to people who don't even have the capacity to realize their behavior. So at the core of resentment is really lost power. Number one is lost power. And number two, number two is what I call, I want you to put this in the chat, emotional constipation. This is going to be nasty. Oh my God. You know what emotional constipation is? Doc, why do you explain things like this? Because I take complicated matters and make them simple so people can process it. You want to know what emotional constipation is? When you've been filled with so much crap from other people because you have not processed it and released it, it builds inside of you and it starts to seep through who you are. So you moody and you're snappy and you're hard to get along with and get connected to and hard to get to know and hard to build relationships with and hard to build friendships with and hard to move beyond things. Why? Because you got all of this built up stuff that literally starts to impact your behavior and what we all experience from you. You don't believe this? Go around a person who's constipated. Thank you, Tisha, for your support. Y'all ain't supporting this show. Let me double check. Go around a person who's constipated, and you're going to be able to tell a person's constipated by several signs. You want to know some signs of constipation besides the fact that they can't use the bathroom? I know, Doc, why you got to be this nasty? So y'all can get it. Because when you have resentment, you have emotional constipation. You want to know some signs of emotional constipation that's greater than the fact that you can't use the bathroom? Smell the breath of a person who's constipated.
Oh my God.
If you smell the breath of a person who's constipated, it stinks. You know why? Because they got a whole lot of stuff trapped in them that needs to come out of them. Let me give you another thing that you see when a person's constipated. When a person's constipated, their stomach is a little larger. They get bloated. Which means when a person has things trapped inside of them, unreleased anger, bitterness that they have not processed, it literally has the potential to change your countenance. Some of you, we can tell you resentful, not because you told us, but because of the frown on your face. You ain't never pleasant. You're never pleasant. You always got a problem with something. It's because we can look at you and tell that you got a lot of emotions inside of you that you have yet to process. Here's another sign, and I'm going to move on. Yeah, this is nasty. I know it's nasty. I don't care. Nasty work at its finest.
Oh my God.
Hey, Instagram, why are the numbers going down? They be getting mad on Instagram. They really do. Hey, let me give you another sign of emotional, what I call emotional constipation. When you're constipated, your skin is not clear. Your skin is not clear. It might be a little rough. It might be porous. You may have a lot of bumps. You may have a lot of, that kind of stuff. You know why? Because when you are holding on to emotions, particularly anger, bitterness, and rage and frustration, all of these things that you're holding on to that are making you resentful, you start to look like what you've been through.
Oh my God.
You start to look like what you've been through. And you know how and this is very interesting to me because I'm not trying to brag. I'm just being honest. Thank you, Jade. I appreciate your support. I'm not trying to brag. I'm being honest. When I go out and I meet people and people are almost like, Doc, oh my God, you look really young. And what did you expect? But I get it though. I look young because I don't be holding on to stuff that don't no longer serve me. And when you hold on to anger and bitterness and frustration longer than what it serves you, you start to look like what you've been through. Some of y'all 20 and look like you 50, and it ain't got nothing to do with genetics. It has nothing to do with DNA. Some of you 20 and look 50 because of the stuff you holding on to, and you starting to look like what you've been through. Yes, resentment can become a physical ailment. If we believe that anger can cause stress that can give us a headache, or that it can give us a headache, but can also give us high blood pressure, why don't we believe the same resentment can also alter how we appear? This is why you meet people that's 30 that look like they're 70. This is the truth. I was in New Orleans New Year's, you know, when all of that stuff went down. And I was telling somebody how peaceful it was on New Year's Eve night, the night that all of that stuff went down. It was really peaceful on Bourbon. You know, Bourbon can kind of be what it is, just depending on when you go. But I go to New Orleans so much, and I've seen Bourbon in a lot of different conditions. But it was really cool. Everybody was getting along. Everybody was just having a great time. It was New Year's. People were hugging each other, just talk. It was no drama. Sometimes you walk down Bourbon, you tell people might be trying to start. It was none of that. Nobody was on that type time. And this guy stopped me. He asked me about my hat. And I told him, he said, "What do you do?" So I told him, he said, "Oh, cool, cool." And he started telling me his life story right on Bourbon Street. So I was telling me these life stories, and it was cool. Like, you know, I was off the clock, but I didn't mind. I talk to people like that all the time. But what got me, he was telling me all of this stuff, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing to process this, man? Like, you've been through a lot. What do you do to process all of these emotions that have you in this place? He said, "Man, nothing." And so I asked him, I said, "How old are you?" He said, "Guess." I said, 53, 54. He said, "Doc, are you being serious?" I said, "I am. I'm not trying to be funny, man." I said, "How old are you?" I said, "Well, I give it 53, 54." Dude was 22 years old.
Oh my God.
22 years old. And I looked him in the face and said, "Sir, I was not being offensive, but you are the very definition of if we wear things that we don't release or process, we literally begin to look like the stuff we've been through." Some of y'all are aging yourselves way faster than what you have to. And you blaming genetics and DNA and all. Nope, 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 nope. You learn how to let stuff go, process stuff and let it go. It takes the wrinkles out of your skin.
Oh my God.
It takes the bags out from under your eyes.
Oh my God.
It puts some strength in your ankles.
Oh my God.
It's the truth. I call it emotional constipation. And that's a byproduct of having resentment. Hey, get your paper. Get your paper. This is a good time to introduce this. Get a blank sheet. Y'all know what we do. Get a blank sheet. Hurry. Go ahead and make your tea. If this is not your first time, you already know what I'm talking about. Go ahead and make your giant tea. Get you a blank sheet of paper. All right, let's do it. Get you a blank sheet of paper. Let's do it. Go ahead and make your big tea. Give me a second. Let me show you guys a couple of things. You to get a blank sheet of paper and make you a tea the size of the paper. Let me give you some visual things. You can record on this diagram. You can record in your journal. All right, go ahead and make it. Let's do it together. You already know. Nothing. It's just get a piece of paper and make a big T. You're gonna write some things out. That's all. I try to do this for the visual learners. All right. Y'all are wild. All right, and because we kind of moved a little bit faster, I didn't realize I was this deep, but I want to get to this because I got something I got to share with y'all. Go ahead and make you, let's see, passing, again. Go ahead and make you 3 lines going down. I'm going to show you what I mean. Give me a second. Y'all, this is a good time for y'all to support the show. I'm about to check. So I'm going to take this down because I'm going to be doing some next level teaching in that course. And with those subscribers on some of this stuff, I'm not going to leave it up if y'all do not support. Participate in your own rescue. I said what I said. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. Make it just 3 lines. They don't necessarily have to be even. If they are, great. We gotta have a conversation. It's about to get interesting. Like so. Thank you, Caitlin. Like so. Okay? 3 lines. All right, y'all with me? You're making kind of, I guess, columns and rows. Well, you have 2 columns, but you're making 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. In the top row, we've already talked about it. Just write the word capacity. Because again, we can't deal with resentment until we deal with capacity. So write the word capacity there. And then next to it, on the other side, let's just do a couple of bullets. We talked about what? We talked about capacity beginning with self-awareness. I almost forgot to do this diagram. I was so into my notes, but I was just reminded. Yeah, I do have a lot of people that are visual learners, and they're like, Doc, do this every time you go live because we really get it this way. So I want to be mindful of that. So we talked about capacity in the context. Go on the other side, self-awareness. We talked about capacity in the context of accountability. We talked about capacity in the context of levels. Right? Okay, y'all with me? Thank you so much, Mo Lovable. I appreciate you. Appreciate your support. Really means a lot. Okay? Y'all with me? Now, under capacity, in this box, I want you to write the word resentment. Almost too big. Let me correct it. Barely. Y'all forget my handwriting. It's a little weird. Okay? Write the word resentment. Now, what I want you to do is from the word capacity to the word resentment, I want you to draw an arrow. Y'all, my drawing is not good. Draw an arrow from the word capacity to resentment, and I want you to draw an arrow from the word resentment to capacity. You're going to be the smartest person at the water cooler for the next 10 weeks. Draw an arrow from the word capacity to resentment. Draw an arrow from the word resentment to capacity. Why? Because remember, y'all, we can't work on this resentment until we measure this. So if you're at a place of resentment, don't try to fix this until you go back up to capacity and measure this. Making sense? If you're not sure whether or not you have resentment against someone, start with capacity. Start with the measurement of their self-awareness, accountability, what level they're on, where they are in terms of responsibility, ownership, etc. And after you've done that, then go down and deal with the resentment. Okay? Is this making sense? Is this clear? Right? And we talked about a few things with resentment. Let me give you some bullet points. 1, we said that resentment was unprocessed, unreleased, anger. Y'all, I know my handwriting is terrible. Y'all just bear with me. unprocessed, unreleased anger. Okay? Thank you, Letitia, for the support. Okay? We said that. We said that resentment was really about lost power. Giving up our power to something, someone, situation, whatever, that normally is connected to some level of poor capacity. Right? Y'all with me? We also said that resentment would be reflected in things like emotional. I'm gonna have to trademark that. Why somebody do a video on it? Emotional, folks be still in. Emotional constipation. That in fact, the anger, the bitterness, the rage, the frustration, the whatever that is trapped inside of you that is not processed or released will become constipated, and this will reflect how you show up in the spaces you show up. Y'all share the video. Between the 4 networks, we're right around, that's 3. We're right around 600 viewers. Let's get that number up to 1,000. Okay? This is what resentment looks like. High level. Now, I want to say this. The downside to being on a healing journey is that when you're on a healing journey, there is a greater level of expectation for you when you're aware of these things, you're practicing these things, and you're attempting to allow these things to be a part of who you are. I.e., and I said it on the video this week, to whom much is given, much more is required. There's a greater level of expectation that is associated with anybody who's attempting to become the best version of themselves. No different than there's a greater level of expectation for you if you stand in your kitchen with a 1-year-old and they throw the milk on the floor. You're going to look super crazy to say, okay, well, you threw it on the floor. I'm going to get a cup and throw it on the floor too. And this segment is where I'm going to lose half of y'all. Because everybody talks about healing. I'm on a healing journey. Healing's such a buzzword. I'm not gassing me up. I'm just being honest. If you just go back and check the archives, I've been talking about healing on social media platform for 5-6 years at a time where nobody was talking about healing. Now everybody on a healing journey, which is great. But we have more evidence that not all journeys and work levels are the same. Because what a lot of people fail to realize that now that they're catching on to this bandwagon is that when you're on a real healing journey, what is expected and required of you is so much more than everybody else. I'm going to put this plain. Another reason why I don't tussle with y'all in the comments is because when y'all say crazy stuff because you didn't listen to the video, you don't like my hat, you got a problem with what I said, and you say this stupid stuff, if I get in the comments and go nuclear, people will actually be more turned off by my response than they are offended by your comment. People will be more turned off by my response than they're offended by your comment. You know why? Because to whom much is given, much is required. Watch this, which means if you're going to deal with resentment, guess what's going to have to happen? Guess what you're going to have to be? I want you to insert an extra line. Hey, get your diagram. Oh, this is good. I love it. This is off script. but it's on time. I want you to insert an extra line right there. Y'all see that? Put an extra line right there, all the way across, because you're getting ready to write something right here in the comments or right here on the thing. Yeah, y'all stop tussling in them comments. Is that my Alexis? Yep, definitely stop. You know better. The way you killing it, absolutely. We got to realize what level we're on. I want you to put another line on your diagram. Let me tell you something. This is where I'm about to lose half of you. You ready? If you're going to move beyond resentment, especially dealing with people who have low capacity, you better master being this kind of person. You ready? Bigger person. I just lost half of you. Just go ahead and write bigger person across the whole middle. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
And I'm going to take this a step further. If you don't want to be this, if you don't want to be the bigger person, you don't want to heal either.
Oh my God.
If you don't want to be this, you don't want to grow either.
Oh my God.
If you don't want to be this, you don't want to be the best version of you either.
Oh my God.
If you don't want to be this, you ain't on no real healing journey.
Oh my God.
You're not. I hate to break the news to you. Your therapist lied to you. Your counselor lied to you. Oprah lied to you. Everybody lied to you. If you can't master and desire to want to be this, you still sitting in seat 32C on the back of the plane.
Oh my God.
I don't care how much money you make.
Oh my God.
I don't care how good you look.
Oh my God.
I don't care where you from.
Oh my God.
I don't care who your daddy is.
Oh my God.
I don't care who your mama is.
Oh my God.
If you cannot master being this, you're not on no healing journey.
Daddy.
I'm just letting this soak in for y'all. While all the Instagram is the only network I got where the followers are dropping. They don't like this stuff over there. If you're not ready to be this, you're not ready to heal. And you're not ready to move beyond resentment either. And the $1 million question is, when it comes to the people you hold resentment against, you're on a healing journey. They're not. You're on a healing journey and they're not. And when it comes to the people you're holding resentment against, I got a $1 million question. Who's the chap and who's the adult? Hey, y'all, read the room. If you come in late and you don't know what it is, rewind the tape. Who's the chap? Who's the adult? This is just like some of you men that want to be leaders in some things and not in all things. It's not adult-like. It's just like some of you women who want to be strong in some things, but don't want to be strong in all things. Who's the chap? Who's the adult? When it comes to this resentment you're holding on to with people that don't have capacity. This is the problem many of you have, which leads me to something very important. When you recognize that part of letting go of resentment is being the bigger person, it positions you to create new thoughts about the person, the thing, the situation that you have resentment against. And new thoughts create new emotions. New emotions create new behaviors. New behaviors create new lives. Let me give that to y'all again. It's in the book. Y'all ain't got your copy of 5 Areas of Healing? I think there's another batch going out this week. New thoughts create new emotions. New emotions create new behaviors. New behaviors create new lives. And if you want to be the bigger person and let go of things like resentment and all this other built up stuff that has you emotionally constipated with no power, you got to create some new thoughts about the people and the situations you have resentment against. Those new thoughts will create new emotions. Those new emotions will create new behaviors. Those new behaviors will create a new life. Which brings me to something else that I want to talk about tonight. I've lost half of you. I'm getting ready to lose another 30% of you. When you realize that people with poor capacity and no self-awareness, no accountability, no ownership, no idea or clue of their level are causing this resentment, which is causing you to house unprocessed, unreleased anger, frustration, whatever. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate that. I see it on YouTube. I was right on time. I got your Cash App too. Oh, man, so sweet. I appreciate that. That really means a lot. When you realize that that resentment is causing you lost power, you are emotionally constipated, you look like what you've been through, you look like what you're dealing with right now, and you make the decision to be the bigger person, it brings you to a place that's not for everybody. Joe, is Joe on the live? Joe, are you on the live? I think I saw you on TikTok. You about to like what I'm going to talk about. It brings you to a place that many of you, there you go. I'm coming. It's going to bring you to a place that many of you have never experienced. This is a utopia and a land that requires you being a bigger person. It requires you to be a bigger person, but it also requires you to have something else. That place is called forgiveness. I'm about to lose the other 40%. And what I'm about to say is only going to apply to about 10 to 15% of you. Now watch this. Watch this. When you understand resentment and the effects of resentment, particularly in the context of dealing with people with poor or no capacity, and you make the decision to be a bigger person, you have the opportunity to operate in something called forgiveness. But wait, Doc, they offended me. I can't forgive them. But wait, Doc, I can't overlook what they did. That's my daddy. Let me tell you why this is going to be hard for many of you. I'm going to give you the first bullet on the other side. Y'all following me? Let's go to the other side. The reason why what I'm about to explain to you is going to be hard is because forgiveness is something called a spiritual principle. I just lost 40% of you. I'm down to 10% of you on this call. Watch this. You know why many of you can't forgive? Because it's a spiritual principle and you don't have a spiritual foundation.
Oh my God.
What are the 5 areas of healing? Write it in the corner of your journal somewhere. What are they? Mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, financial. Some of you can't forgive because you don't have a spiritual foundation. And forgiveness ain't something you buy at Target or Walmart. Forgiveness ain't something you can learn in your counseling class. Forgiveness is not something you're going to be able to pick up at the grocery store. Forgiveness is a spiritual principle. And if you ain't got no spiritual foundation, guess what else you ain't going to be able to do? Forgive. I told y'all, I'm about to be down to 10 to 15% capacity on what I'm about to explain. The reason why, let me just be very frank here. I'm going to be very transparent tonight. There are certain topics that I don't talk a lot about. I talk a lot about a lot of different topics on my videos. There might not be a topic that I hadn't, well, there are a few major topics that I haven't touched yet, but they're in the works. I had dozens of stories just sitting on ice. I'm just going down the list. Let me say something to you. There are certain topics that I don't talk about a lot to the masses. You know why? Because most of y'all watching this stuff, you ain't got no spiritual foundation. You don't. So why would I explain a spiritual concept to a person who don't have a spiritual foundation? Let me give you an example. This is a video that went out. Shannon Sharp, shout out to Club Shay Shay, that stuff. He interviewed Cheryl Underwood, and I posted that video on my story. And it was powerful because she talked about roles in marriages between a man and a woman. And she talked about how the man was the provider, the woman was the helpmeet, stuff like that. And she made the comment. She's like, people not going to agree with this in this day and time. And she was spot on. But it hit me. I've tried to explain this. I don't talk a lot about those videos because it's so much bad content out there about this that I'm actually in the minority when I say healthy things. And I don't mind being there, by the way. I don't need to be in the majority. I like me.
Oh my God.
I support me. I don't need to be in the majority. Let me be real clear here. I don't need none of this. But let me tell you something. What she described was a spiritual principle. Because some of y'all still think, men and women, that leadership in a marriage is the man being the boss, talking nasty to his wife, tell his wife whatever he wanted to do, and she do it. And she's a subservient slave. And that's because you don't have no spiritual foundation. So you say dumb stuff like, ain't no man gonna tell me what to do. What are you talking about? And that's why I don't get in the comments with y'all. Because me explaining a spiritual foundation, that the only way a man can lead a woman is if something is leading him. Some of y'all looking like, what is he talking about? What's the something? That's why I don't explain this. The only way a man can lead a woman is if something's leading him. And the only way a woman is mentally and emotionally prepared to be led by a man is if she has something inside of her. And I ain't talking about him either.
Oh my God.
And that, y'all, like forgiveness, is a spiritual principle. This is a spiritual principle. And you got a lot of non-spiritual people trying to explain spiritual stuff.
Oh my God.
Let me make sure y'all support, because I'm gonna just cut the live. Because this right here, most of y'all won't get this. Many of y'all will go to church all year this year, and you won't get this in one visit. In visits all year, you won't get this. You cannot understand spiritual principles like forgiveness if you don't have no spiritual foundation. And guess what, y'all? Many of y'all, you're going to stay stuck at resentment. You know why? Because as much as I want to tell you that understanding capacity helps you to understand resentment, and understanding resentment positions you to be able to forgive, as much as I want to believe that this works for all of y'all and it can work for all of you, if you don't have no spiritual foundation, you will never get here. Forgiveness will never be something that is a part of who you are if you don't have a spiritual foundation. I don't care who you are. You are fooling yourself if you think you walking in real forgiveness without a spiritual foundation. Why, Doc? How can you say that with so much passion and so much vigor? You know why? Because forgiveness really doesn't make sense. No, let me just explain this, because now I'm warming up. Forgiveness doesn't even make sense. It makes no logical, mental, emotional sense to forgive a person who has wronged you, does it? How much sense does it make to literally say, hey, I forgive you for lying on me. I forgive you for not showing up for me. I forgive you for mistreating me. I forgive you for cheating on me. I forgive you for walking out on me. I forgive you for counting me out. I forgive you for lying on me. It makes no sense to do that mentally or emotionally. That's why you got to have a third prong. Because there are some things you cannot do without a foundation that empowers you to be able to do it. And that's why, for many of you, your ceiling is resentment. Put that in the chat. That's something for you to chew on for the next 3 months. If you don't have a spiritual foundation, your ceiling is resentment. You can't go no higher. You can't go any higher than resentment if you ain't got no spiritual foundation. You will never get down here to this bigger person space without it. Thank you so much, Dog Life times 3. I appreciate you. Is this making sense? It's why I don't talk about things like forgiveness. I don't do a whole, let me tell you something you will never see me on. You're not going to see me on nobody's podcast debating folks. Doc, never say never. Never. Oh my God. Doc, never say never. Never. You will never see me on a podcast debating people over spiritual matters. Forgiveness is a spiritual matter. Order in relationships between a husband and a wife, because let's face it, we shouldn't even be talking about leadership among boyfriends and girlfriends. Let me just go on and help all of you silly women and all of you silly men who out here screaming leadership and being led by somebody that ain't even your husband or wife. That alone shows me you do not have a spiritual foundation. So why would I come on your podcast and talk about relationship order when you don't even understand that you ain't got no business talking about order if you ain't married? I'm gonna wait. Maybe y'all got a response that I missed. So you will never say never see me on nobody. I don't care how many, they can have millions of followers. I'm not about to get on no podcast and debate nothing. You can invite me along. Put me in there with the host and ask me questions and I'll explain it. And then y'all can tussle in the chat and say, oh, this guy's crazy. He's da-da-da. That's fine. I got some a whole lot of y'all ain't got. It's called a spiritual foundation. Thank you, Eugene. It's called a spiritual foundation. And what I'm not going to do is cast my pearls among pigs. Doc, that don't make sense. I don't read the Bible, Doc. I don't have no spiritual foundation. Say it in a way that it makes sense to me. I'm not going to put on my red bottoms and walk through the mud. When I put on my red bottoms and I got a nice suit on, what I ain't going to do is walk through the mud. I'm not about to waste my red bottoms in a space that can't handle me. And that's how many of you look, trying to explain spiritual principles to people who ain't got no spiritual foundation. Stop going back and forth with folks who are not on the level to understand spiritual matters. No, call me when you get a spiritual foundation. Then we can talk. Watch this. Let's stay in this bigger person area. Y'all ready? Now that I done lost 80% of the people on the line, because right now, when you get down here, the air get thin down here. Everybody's with me on capacity, resentment. But when you start talking about bigger person, the air start getting thin. You start talking about forgiveness, the air getting thin. We on spiritual principles. Let me take it a step further. I'm going to give you a bonus that was not in the topic of the chat of tonight's talk that's going to help you. You know what else being the bigger person can present and create for you? When you have a spiritual foundation, a word y'all many of you have never been familiar with, a word that's going to sound like a foreign language to many of you, because you are lacking so much of a spiritual foundation that the idea of this even being possible don't even make sense. That word, reconciliation. Reconciliation is possible when you have a spiritual foundation, which means the very people that created resentment in you, you can reconcile with if you get a spiritual foundation. And this is why my heart honestly hurts for many of y'all. My heart honestly hurts for many of you because many of you went through divorces you didn't have to go through because you didn't have a spiritual foundation. Or the person you were with didn't have a real strong spiritual foundation. There was some pain you could have avoided that could have been reconciled. What does reconcile mean? To fix. There are some things that could have been fixed if you or the other person or both of y'all had a spiritual foundation. This is why many of y'all are runners and track stars. The idea of working out a problem with somebody that you have with them, having a fault with someone and going to them to solve it is a spiritual principle, and this is why you can't reconcile. And that's why your window or your ceiling is resentment. You will never graduate from resentment to forgiveness to reconciliation if you ain't got no spiritual foundation. Because this stuff right here is for folks that believe in something that's greater than them. Now, I want to be really clear here. This is where I'm gonna lose, especially you Christians, because I'm Christian, unapologetically. I love the Lord, unapologetically. But I'm gonna lose some of you Christians here. I also have friends that are atheists. I have clients that are atheists that love my work. Why would an atheist love the work of a Christian who works in the counseling therapy space and come to him as a recurring client? Because I've been given a gift to help people realize that I don't care what you think you believe. There are some times in your life where you got to tap into something that's bigger than you. Hey, y'all, we mourning with Washington, D.C. right now. You know how many times I've flown into D.C. through DCA? Reagan Airport. You know how many Muslims as well. Yes, it's everybody, y'all. I don't mean to leave anybody out. I have clients that are Muslims, friends that are Muslims, atheists, agnostic, Catholic. I could go down the line, y'all. I definitely didn't mean to leave anybody out. Much love to all of y'all. Listen, our friends in DC are hurting. When I saw that video when I woke up this morning, with that helicopter hitting that plane, my stomach literally hit the floor. You know how many times I fly on that through that airport? I'll be flying through that airport in a couple of weeks. When you look at stuff like that, what kind of logical explanation do you have? You ain't got one. What kind of emotional explanation do you have? You don't have one. What kind of physical explanation do you have? You don't have one. What kind of financial explanation do you have? You don't have one. The only thing that can describe how time and eternity meet and come together that cause a passenger plane and a helicopter with no intention of meeting each other at the same exact spot and causing such a tragedy is that there has to be a power greater than what we understand working in spaces that we can't see. You've got to have a spiritual foundation to forgive. You have to have a spiritual foundation to reconcile. And some of y'all need to get up off your couch and go apologize to the people that you're holding this resentment to, because you probably can make it right with it. Remember, they the kid. You the adult. Some of y'all are missing out on relationships with your parents who have the capacity of children, and you doing this healing work trying to be the bigger person, but you acting like them. They ain't speaking and you not speaking. That's because you ain't got no spiritual foundation. And it takes a foundation to say, you know what? They older, they're supposed to protect me, they're supposed to cover me, but they got low capacity. I'm growing, I'm learning to be the bigger person, and I'm gonna make it right. And that will sound like a foreign language if you ain't got no spiritual foundation. You literally need to go back to the person you counted out and apologize. Let me just be transparent. My work wouldn't even be as full as it was if some of y'all had this. You would put Doc out of business if you grew a spiritual foundation, because half of this trash that y'all are mad over and get upset about that causes you to go years not talking to people that you claim to love would be resolved if you had a spiritual foundation. Let me tell you what else spiritual Let me tell you what else reconciliation does. Now, I saw a really good question. I want to address this question. So I'm not coming at the person that asked the question, but it really just proves my point so well. Somebody says, well, what if you don't love them? Interesting. Forgiveness, reconciliation. We talked about relationships earlier between especially a husband and a wife. Let me tell you another thing. This ain't in my notes, but let me go on and put it down here too. Something else is really a spiritual principle. Y'all not gonna like this. Love. Love is a spiritual principle. That's a spiritual principle. I'm not talking about what you do to your partner in the bedroom. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about what you do to your partner, how you bend them over, how you sit on. I'm not talking about none of that. Oh my God. This right here is a spiritual principle that involves a big word that also is a spiritual matter. Watch this. Because forgiveness, reconciliation, love are spiritual principles. Love involves some things that are spiritual matters. And one of the big things that it involves is this word called sacrifice. And I ain't just talking about sacrificing your body. Oh my God. I'm talking about sacrificing your pride. I'm talking about sacrificing your humility. I'm talking about sacrificing your comfort. Love involves sacrifice. Watch. Love involves giving. That you can literally move from a space where you're dealing with someone who has poor capacity, fix your resentment, become the bigger person, and love to forgive them, reconcile, and even learn how to love them again. And this right here is like foreign languages to many of y'all. Ain't no way, Doc. You know why? Because you don't have spiritual principles. You don't have a spiritual foundation. That's why this doesn't make sense. And this is why you'll never see Doc on a debate show with folks who ain't sitting in his class. Never, ever. You can call me what you want to. Bougie, think he better, strange. I don't care. I am better. I'm better than most. I'm way better than most. How about that? Because this right here requires a spiritual prayer. How can you love them, Doc, when they treated me so bad? Spiritual foundation. How can you love them, Doc, when they did me so bad? Spiritual foundation. How can you forgive them, Doc, when they purposefully did what they did to me? Spiritual foundation. That don't make sense. Well, I don't have time to explain it. Instead of me explaining how this makes sense, why don't you get one of these? Get a spiritual foundation, and then we can talk. Does this make sense or no? Does this make sense? See, we got to get into this because if not, you will respond to idiots who sit and coach. I don't. I'm better than y'all, especially the ones that ain't got no spiritual foundation. I said what I said and I meant it. Let me tell you something else that comes with reconciliation. Watch this. Reconciliation involves three things. And obviously, for all the people that just are mentally and emotionally so incapacitated that this isn't common sense to you, let me just make this common sense so you get it. Okay. I'm gonna just bring this down a few notches so I can make this common sense for some of y'all to just get this common sense. And if you don't get it, me explaining it like this, I can't help you. Seriously. And I'm not being funny, I'm being honest. There are three things that are involved with reconciliation, because obviously when it comes to reconciliation, it requires two, which means I have to share with a couple this week. It is quite possible that you are growing and becoming the bigger person, and you have a spiritual foundation, and you have the ability to forgive and reconcile and love. But if the person you are connected to is not doing the same thing, then how can two walk together except they agree? How can two people carry up a couch up a pair of steps, when only one of them doing the work? To me, that's common sense. But let me say that vocally for those of you that have not been able to connect the dots in your brain. Reconciliation is obviously only possible if two people are doing the work. So let me free those of you that have had to walk away from bad situations because you was the only one working. That don't mean you are not the bigger person. That meant you were trying to carry a couch up the steps by yourself. See, this is why I don't explain stuff to people that ain't sitting in my section. That's common sense. So be free. I'm for real. If you're in a position where you're like, Doc, I've been trying to do the bigger person, I've been trying to do the work, I'm willing to forgive, I'm down with reconciliation, I understand love and sacrifice and giving, but I mean, they not doing nothing. Then be free. You know why? Because reconciliation, y'all, requires three things. I want you to fill in your chart. Reconciliation requires three things. You got to have it. It requires a person who is, you ready? Not the blue, the red. It requires a person who is, ready, honest, a person who is teachable. Hope y'all can read this. And a person who is mature. I'm giving y'all nuggets. This is April course level nuggets right here. Reconciliation requires a person who is honest, teachable, and mature, which means for all the people who ain't came around the mountain yet, you can't fix a marriage with somebody who ain't honest, teachable, and mature. Duh! You can't fix a relationship with somebody who ain't honest, teachable, and mature. You can't fix a work situation with a coworker who ain't honest, teachable, and mature. Even if you got a spiritual foundation. Because two people can't walk in the same direction if they not agreeing on where they walking. Oh my God. So, forgiveness. Y'all see what I'm doing? I'm drawing an arrow. Forgiveness is a spiritual principle. Reconciliation. Spiritual principle. Love. Spiritual principle. But these words like honest, teachable, mature, sacrifice, giving, those are what I call spiritual matters. Spiritual matters. Do me a favor. This is totally impromptu. Let me explain what I mean by spiritual matters. Get a new sheet of paper. This is perfect. This is my last white sheet right here. So I don't have to get up on the broadcast. Nope. Yep, my last white sheet. Get a sheet of paper. I can't draw. Okay? Get a sheet of paper. I just sometimes this is why I don't be in the comments, man. I'm serious, and I love y'all. Y'all know I love it. I don't be causing no beef and drama with nobody. You know, it's obviously trolls everywhere, but Lord knows, sometimes I just wonder. Like social media has really exposed the ignorance that lives in our world. Some of y'all just, I get a blank sheet of paper, turn it landscape, and I want you to try to draw as best as possible. Try to draw. Let me try to use my red pen. Nah, yeah, let me use my red pen. This is going to be a horrible tree, but I want you to try to draw a tree. Just don't y'all laugh at my drawing. Oh, that's pretty good. Look at that. Draw a tree. Let me explain something to y'all real quick. Thank you, Stacy. I appreciate your kindness. Thank you, Yenny. I appreciate your kindness. Thank you so much. What is my... There it is. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good for somebody that can't draw, because I can't draw at all. My handwriting's terrible too. Draw a tree. That's pretty good. I did that on the spot, y'all. I'm pretty proud of myself. I'm going to say this tree. To the draw a tree. This tree represents your spiritual foundation. I got 10:59. I need 10 more minutes. This tree represents your spiritual foundation. And anytime you have a tree, your tree will produce something called fruit. Your tree will produce something called fruit. And that fruit will be a reflection of the strength of your tree. And let me help you. There's some things that ought to be on your tree. Watch this. Remember this diagram? Doc, how can I forgive? How can I reconcile? How can I have love? Well, I gave you some things. You can be honest, you can be teachable, you can be mature, you can give sacrifice, you can be a giver, you can do these things and pick up these things to be able to forgive and reconcile and love so you can move beyond resentment. But let me give you more things that ought to be on your tree. This ain't even my notes. We talked about it. Love ought to be on the tree. Some of y'all just mean. You mean as hell. You mean, and everybody know you mean. This is a spiritual matter, a spiritual characteristic. You can tell somebody's growing a foundation, a spiritual foundation, by how they love and treat people. Tell you something else that ought to be on that tree. Something like joy. Are you genuinely a generally happy, easy-go-lucky person? Or are you one of those people that's hard to deal with, that nobody want to be around, and all your friendships and relationships end the same way, but you think it's everybody else's problem? Tell you something else ought to be on that tree. This word called peace. Are you a peacemaker or a problem stirrer? Doc, how do I grow my spiritual foundation? Work on these things. Are you a peaceful maker? A peacemaker? Do you try to solve people's problems or are you messy? Some of y'all so messy. This is how that's another reason why I know many of you will always be stuck on this resentment level. You'll never get to this bigger person level because you can't be messy and be the bigger person at the same time. You messy. Everything about you is messy. The stuff you say is messy. How you carry yourself is messy. The gossip you share is messy. The way you talk about people behind their back that you just went to dinner with is messy. Thank you, Brother Mike. I appreciate that, man. I really do. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Are you messy or are you a peacemaker? Let's put something else on that tree. Oh, this is a good one. 2 words. Long suffering. I'm giving y'all a spiritual foundation class. Are you long? In other words, can you take a lot? This is for all you folks that can't take nothing. Are you long suffering? Or do you run every time things get hard? Do you quit every time things don't go your way? Do you get so frustrated that you in and out houses, relationships, connections, like a person runs in and out of a house because you cannot take anything? You build some long suffering. Guess what? When you build long suffering, that's a direct tie to forgiveness. Because you can't forgive if you ain't got no patience. Some of y'all, all y'all do is run. All you do is run. Because you don't have the patience, you don't have the long suffering to take stuff and grow through stuff. That ought to be on your tree. Let me give you something else ought to be on your tree. Since we already talking about mean folks, let's just go ahead and put what you should be. Kindness. Some of y'all just mean. I had 94 volunteers sign up to help with the self-awareness tour. 94. 94 people across the country to sign up to help with this self-awareness tour. I still need more volunteers in Phoenix, Arizona. If you're in the Phoenix, Arizona area, please shoot me an email. I'd love to have you sign up so our site coordinator can connect with you. But one of the first things I said to them and ask them, many of them are on this call tonight, I know it. The first thing I said to them, I said, hey, you going to help Doc out on this tour? Doc really appreciates it. He loves you. He's so grateful for his support. But listen, you can't be out here volunteering for the self-awareness tour that's got my name on it and you mean. Because you can't be healed and mean at the same time. That's for all of y'all talking about something you on a healing journey, but you mean. No, you're not.
Oh my God.
You not on no healing journey and you mean. You on a hell journey. You ain't on no healing journey. You're on a hell journey, not a healing one.
Oh my God.
Because one of the spiritual matters of a spiritual foundation is kindness. You ought to be nice. Y'all don't like this, do you? Do you? Instagram real mad. Instagram should be over 200 viewers right now. They don't like this foolishness right here. I'm having my way. Have your way. Go right ahead and have your way. What else should be on this tree? Let's see. Peace, love, joy, kindness, long suffering. Okay. That's a good one too. I forgot. They're coming back to me, y'all. Give me some time. I got a lot on my brain. Gentleness. Gentleness. Look at y'all. Some of y'all done went to a book, didn't you? Gentleness. How do you handle people? Well, Doc, how dare you talk about gentleness and you really be coming for our necks? I have yet to have a client that was not dysfunctional. I'm gonna say that with a caveat. Because I have had a few former dysfunctional clients that just could not take an honest message. And when I say a few, I'm talking less than 2%. My client retention rate is 98%. You know what that means? 98% of the people who meet with me once meet with me twice. 98. That's high. That's almost perfect. You know why? Because I rarely meet people who be like, Doc just don't really like me. Doc, me, Even when I have to come down on you, I can give you the message and still love you through it. It's called being gentle. Let me put a big one up here. I'm going to put this one at the top. I see some of y'all putting it in the comments. Y'all in my notes, huh? Or in my brain one, because I ain't got no notes on this. This is just being led. Self-control. How you gonna be teachable and mature and you ain't got no self-control? How you gonna be mature and you have no self-control? You want to grow a spiritual foundation? Learn how to control yourself. And I ain't just talking about what you eat. I'm talking about what you say and what you do and where you go and who you with. Your ability to move beyond resentment, believe it or not, can have a connection to things like self-control. I had to exercise it tonight. For the city league, my son's playing 2 leagues. He's on the 13-14 team. He's only 11. He's playing 11-12 league and the 13-14 league. He's playing kids 3 years older than him. And the gym got so ghetto tonight. And it wasn't the kids, it was the parents. And when that game was over, I told Giselle it was minutes left in that game. She was sitting at the top, and I stood up in front of everybody and looked at Giselle and pointed at her. I said, when this clock hits 0, get down here. She came down there, got her coat, and we walked to that center court and waited for my son to finish. And I said, don't you leave. Don't you go nowhere where I'm not. And 4 finished, and he came, and we walked right out that gym. While folks was in there acting like they was going to fight, and I think some folks actually got into a fight, I'm not sure. Somebody had the audacity to say to me, sir, why didn't you go out there and help? What? Why didn't I go out there and do what? Help. I said, dude, look over there on that bench. That's my son. Sitting on the bench. He wasn't in the game at the time. He plays, even on the 14 league. That's my son on the bench, and there's my daughter up there. What kind of idiot do I look like to leave a game to go outside to fight? Oh, this is the times we living in. You want proof? World star.
Oh my God.
And y'all think that's cute. No self-control. I sat down and it was an older lady next to me. So older lady next to me, or older gentleman next to me, I'm sorry, and his wife. They were there to see their great-grandsons play. And I sat down and the man said, yeah, fighting at a kid's game is crazy. What's crazy is to leave the game to go outside to fight. And you fighting one of the workers that work there who's doing his job. It wasn't even that guy's fault. He's doing his job. And you get mad at the organizers and go outside and follow them to try to fight them. And the older gentleman next to me said, sir, when I came and sat back down after I told that guy, are you an idiot for asking me? Because when I said, dude, are you crazy? I said, my son's right there. My daughter's up there. What I look like going outside and being an idiot and fight? My bad, bro. I mean, I ain't mean it like that, bro. Yes, you did. And you got corrected and checked on the spot. with no security.
Oh my God.
It's the times we're living in. The older gentleman next to me, the great grandfather, his wife behind me. She put her arm on, you know, older people are real touchy, but she put her arm on my shoulder, said, and just was massaging my shoulder. It was a good feeling massage. No wonder they've been married a long time.
Oh my God.
Sis had some hand work. Good little massage right there on my shoulder. She was rubbing my shoulder. I had to look twice, like, do I know you? Are you on my phone?
Oh my God.
Are you in my phone? Do I know you? and her husband, her husband said, young man, he said, that was powerful. He said, you're a wise young man. I said, man, listen, I ain't rich yet, but I'm too rich and good looking to be in prison and missing out on my kid's life. No, I'm rich and good looking. No. Self-control, y'all, goes a long way. Watch this. Here we go. Let me give y'all one more and I'm going to leave it alone. Because this one's going to be another like foreign word to y'all too. You ready? Faithful. Faithful. Doc, did you just curse at us? Some of y'all I did. That word is a cuss word for some of y'all. Faithful. Imagine a land where people were actually faithful. Faithful to their work. Faithful to their purpose. Faithful to the people they connected to.
Oh my God.
These are spiritual matters. And when you're trying to build a foundation, which is the tree, let me trace this tree again because this is a really good tree. I'm really impressed. Let me just trace my own tree. Yeah. When you're trying to build a spiritual foundation, you need stuff like this on the tree. And when you start work, Doc, how do I build a foundation, Doc? I want to move beyond resentment. I understand that the people that I'm holding resentment against have low capacity. How do I get there? Well, let's build a spiritual foundation. Work on these things. You want something to think about? Stop worrying about who's sleeping with who. Stop trying to figure out every other second when you're going to get a date, and think on stuff that's going to help you. Self-control, peace, faithfulness, gentleness, joy, love, kindness, long-suffering. You want a spiritual foundation, you need all of these. Watch this. I didn't say fruits because listen, how many trees have you seen grow multiple pieces of fruit on it? Have you ever seen a tree, apple tree, grow apples and bananas? No. So your tree has only one fruit, but it has multiple characteristics. It ain't fruits of the spirit. Read it. It's fruit. It's fruit. An apple can be shiny red, dull red, oblong, circular, skinny, fat. It's still an apple with multiple traits. Which means if you ain't got one of them, it's a good chance you don't have none of them. Let me quit. This help anybody tonight? I know the truth be really wearing some of y'all out. That's why my tour called the Self-Awareness Tour. Shameless plug. If you're in Atlanta or the Atlanta area, Roswell, Alpharetta, I think I got 40 tickets left. That's it. 40 tickets. If you anywhere in Georgia, I need to see you next Saturday. Now, if y'all don't come, the 50, 60 people that's there, we're going to have a great time. And I'm going to be ready to teach. 60-minute lecture. It's going to be great. We're going to talk. We're going to continue to grow. But I would love to see you if you're in Georgia next Saturday. Tickets are going to be on sale all the way up through, I think, Thursday or Friday of next week. Breaking news, Phoenix is going to continue in March. Tickets are on sale for Phoenix, Arizona. In April the 12th, we're coming to Houston. Hey, y'all, if you don't support the show, I'm telling you right now, if you don't support the show, I'm taking all of this down. Support it. If you support the show, I'm going to do what I did last week. I'm going to post this on my stories. You can screenshot it. But now I'm taking it down. Hey, we're going to be in Houston April the 12th. I'm excited about that. Houston had the third amount of volunteer sign up. And I'm excited. Houston is going to be April the 12th. And I'm really excited about that. And then right before, I should have confirmation tomorrow for May. I hope y'all writing this stuff down. Now, why are you just not giving us all the dates at once? Because I'm really building the ship as I fly it. This is Chitlin Circuit. I don't have no big engines behind me. Well, not really. Kind of, sort of. Though I do have a team. Shout out to all of my site coordinators. I'm still growing that. Oh, my God. Just powerful. Want a special shout out to my site coordinators. They know who they are. Be talking more about them later. I'm building a marketing team. I've got 2 powerful women that are leading my marketing initiatives now and helping me with that. Just really, I mean, I know y'all don't believe in God. I do. God has really sent me just some amazing people to just help me. And I believe really when you try to do the right thing, you always get the help you need. So shout out to all of you guys for being so helpful. It's on the link in my bio, Sana. The Houston place is in the link in my bio. So go there, get the tickets. May the 10th. I should have confirmation on this tomorrow. May the 10th should be Washington, D.C. Yep. May the 10th should be, according to Trump, Canada about to be the 51st state. So come on over to, I'd love to come to Canada, whether it makes it the 51st state or not. What is it, like the Gulf of Americas? Let me stop acting crazy. It's late and I'm tired. I'd love to come to Canada regardless. May the 10th, though, I should have some confirmation on this, will be Washington, D.C. Now, listen, D.C., we're going to switch it up in D.C. I'm going to up the ante in D.C. It's going to be powerful. I'm even going to probably include a VIP ticket that will include an extra session and some time together. The weather will be good around that time there, especially there. So hold DC if you're in DC, in the DC area, DMV. Let me say that. I forgot. I got in trouble. If you're in the DMV area, hold that. I think I've got a location. I should have a confirmation tomorrow. That's May the 10th, tentatively. I got confirmation today. No. I'm not going. June is tentatively New York, but I have confirmation today. July the 12th is Chicago, Illinois. Yes, I need you to invite everybody for the DC show. DC is going to be amazing. All of the cities are going to be amazing. I think Houston's going to be a vibe too. Houston's going to be great. Got a great team down there. Great site coordinator who actually said to me about a year ago, Doc, if you ever do a tour, I want to help. I'm going to lead it. I'm going to donate this. And she did. She wasn't, and she is killing it already in Houston, the stuff that she's working on. So if you're in Kansas City, that's not far from, is Kansas City? No, Missouri is far. Y'all, it's late. If I mess up my geography, don't judge me. I didn't think Missouri was far from Illinois, right? Isn't that close? July is going to be Chicago. August the 12th is going to be Charlotte. But here's the thing, y'all. Here's the thing. I got some outstanding cities. LA is probably going to be one of these early months too. Meaning some of these months I'm going to do 2 cities. I'm not going to do that a lot, y'all, because I can't travel every month I can't travel every weekend of the month because I've got to make sure my children are taken care of. And their mother and I do a really good job of doing that. And she, special shout out to her being so supportive with my work as well. But August the 12th is definitely a goal. It's a tentative goal for Charlotte. But New Orleans, Florida, LA, Dallas, I feel like I'm leaving somebody out, 1 or 2 more people out. We're going to get those places in before the end of this year. Some of those are going to be double months. You may not have to wait until the end of the year. LA is going to be great. I've got a special surprise for LA. Special surprise that I can't talk about yet. But if you're in LA or in California, Doc, I'm 4 hours away, but I'm in San Francisco. Good. Then you need to make the drive or get a flight. But I want to see you when I come to the West Coast. All right. But I would really love your support. Again, Atlanta. If you're watching this live and you're connected to somebody who lives in Georgia, I need you to tag them now. And I need you to put next to their name, get a ticket to Doc's show. Because I think I only got like 30 or 40 left. That's it. And it's not a big location, but I want to pack it out because I'm going to need a reason to come back to Atlanta, hopefully at the end of the year. So tag anybody that you know that's in Georgia, especially if I leave this live up, if y'all have supported, tag anybody that you know in Georgia and tell them to come out and be a part of that show, okay? It's not going to be Snoop. Oh, my God. I can't believe you made me say that out loud. Oh, my God. Bronxy, I'm going to get you. That you're normally Bronx Harlem girl. I recognize your picture. I'm going to get you. I'm really going to get you. No. Y'all, anybody in Georgia, tag them. Tell them to come. That's next Saturday. And then we got Phoenix. And then we got Houston. Those are the first 3 cities. But like I said, LA, Miami, I think is on that list. Orlando's on that list. We're going to sprinkle those places in. They're going to get taken care of. And so I'm working on the dates, I promise. All right. Was this helpful, y'all? This make any sense tonight? If you haven't supported the show, make sure you do that. I appreciate all of your support. Don't forget, I should be announcing my course, April course, which is my second quarter course. I do a course every quarter. If you enjoyed the 3-day reset, you're going to love this course. It's 5 Saturdays, I think 4 or 5 Saturdays in April. I should be releasing that hopefully this weekend, if not early next week. Also, something else I need to. Oh, I owed y'all an ebook. February is in 2 days. I owed y'all an ebook for questions you can ask if you're dating to see where people are on their healing journey. You can also use these dating questions to figure out if you're ready for love and relationship, companionship. Maybe you're married. Good conversation started with you and your husband, you and your wife, whatever. I should have that ebook finished this weekend. Finally. And we're talking 250 dating questions connected to the 5 areas of healing. 50 for mental, 50 for emotional, 50 for spiritual, 50 for physical, 50 for financial. I tell people all the time, I ain't got no life. All I do is work. I don't. I'm boring. All I do is work, take care of my kids, mind my business. That's it. And I put together 250 questions that you can ask. This is going to be great conversation starter. If you go on the Pop the Balloon show, you can take my questions with you. Before you pop the balloon, take my questions with you. I got 250 questions you can ask as you're dating and engaging or thinking about dating and getting to know people. It's Valentine's Day coming up. Some of y'all gonna be going to dinner, and all you ain't gonna have nothing to talk about. I just gave you some, and you're gonna pay for this ebook because I put some blood, sweat, and tears into this. It's a valuable resource. It should be ready this weekend. All right, y'all. Let me shut up because I feel like I'm rambling on. I appreciate you. It will be listed on my website. It'll be listed on the links as well on my social media pages so that you can get it. Okay. You're gonna love it. You can download it right to your phone and you'll have it and have at it. Okay. Are all hearts and minds clear? Oh boy. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for your support. Yeah, I think I'm really playing. My life is not boring at all. Yes, it works for married people too. If you're in a marriage, you need to look at these questions, and these are things that you all should be discussing to determine how healed and how whole your relationship and connection is. Yeah, so it works for married people. This is going to be for married people. It's going to be for anybody. Okay, I think you'll find it to be a very valuable resource. All right. All right. I appreciate y'all. Have a good evening. Check out my post this weekend. Hopefully I'll have it done. I'll be able to have it up there. And I hope you all will support. Have a good evening. Peace and blessings. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.